Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Rustam, and today I'm going to record my first lecture on sociolinguistics. So this is a course being offered at University of Science and Technology, Abbottabad, and it is taught to 5th semester students. So these are general course contents. First, let me read them out quickly. The introduction to sociolinguistics, language and context, that is social class and region. Under this heading, we are gonna study what's traditional sociolinguistics, what are language varieties, what do we mean by language variation, why language gets changed, what are the factors which influence language variation. This will be studied under this heading. Then certain language varieties like code, what is code, what is restricted code, what is elaborated code, okay, and what is a dialect, sociolect, idiolect, isogloss. So all types of language varieties are studied under this heading. Then very important topic, that is language culture, language, society and culture. So here comes sociolinguistics, okay, like a socio-cultural competence. This definitely will be discussed, because what are the functions of language in society? So language has to do many functions in society. When language is implicated in society, so a language learner or a language user need to have two types of competences. One is linguistic competence and another one is societal competence or socio-cultural competence. This I'll talk just in a while. So domains of language use, areas where we use language, like science, religion, sports, a lot of areas where language is used. Speech communities, what is the definition of a speech communities, like Hindu speakers, Pashto speakers, French speakers, Japanese speaker. What are the features of a speech community? So this all will be discussed under this heading. Then some varieties like regional and social dialects, like what is style, what is register, jargon. So these are some of the varieties of language. And then pigeons and creoles, again these are varieties of language. Let me jargon, okay. So let me save it first. So then what are pigeons and what are creoles? Then national language and standard language, how one variety becomes standardized, like what are the processes involved in standardization of a language. We'll definitely talk about codification, selection of a language, then codification of a language, then how to make people believe in its prestige. Then we have to decide what function this language is going to do in the society. So 4 or 5 standardization factors are involved and processes are involved. Then most important topic, language, culture and thought. One is language and culture, the relationship of language and culture, and another one is language and thought. So how thoughts get into our minds. So what is the link between language and thought? Now there is a very interesting controversy as well, or debate as well, that is what has got primacy. I mean, whether thought is first or language is first. Okay, this inshallah we will discuss in this course. Then multilingualism and bilingualism, like when a baby born, he or she learns mother tongue, but definitely later on he or she has to go to school in order to learn writing, okay, and even reading. So for this purpose there must be another language, okay. It can be your national language, it can be any foreign language which he or she learns. So that is what is usually people are bilinguals, but sometimes people are multilinguals. So dimensions of bilingualism, what is bilingualism, then types of multilingualism, causes of bilingualism, manifestations of bilingualism, like borrowing, code switching and code mixing. If you know 2 languages, you will be either mixing code or you will be switching code depending upon certain reasons, okay. Then what's the relationship between language and gender? So men and women's language definitely it's different. There's a research as well. Then what are gender issues in classroom and society? Then language and power. Language is also used for ulterior motives. People manufacture your consent through language. So critical language awareness is also necessary. So language users or language learners must be taught that on the if some phrase, some sentence which just appears to be quite simple, but it may have some hidden meaning, and the user or the person who coined that phrase must have some nefarious design. So all this has to be taught in sociolinguistics. Then language and education planning. So we plan our education at different strata in the society. So what is the role played by language? So like what does language planning involve? What are the issues of selection of national and official languages? There are many recommended list of books, but usually I prefer using R.A. Hudson's 1996 edition Sociolinguistics, which was published by Cambridge University Press. Other books which I usually read myself and I refer my students to read, they are from Treasure, Introduction to Language and Society, and Wardo, Introduction to Sociolinguistics. And even J. Holmes' book, it is also a very important book, Introduction to Sociolinguistics. And J. H. Sun, who writes extensively on many areas related to language, we need to read this book as well if we have time. But in BS 4 years program, students usually do not have much time, so I recommend Hudson's book Sociolinguistics. So this already has been given to students photocopied form. So now in the next video lecture, inshallah, I'll talk about all these areas. But before I move forward, let me talk about sociolinguistics, like its importance, why it came on the scene. Okay, like before 1970s, although it is not a exact date, or it's not a hard and fast timeline, but you can say before 1970, one school of thought held sway, or it had dominance over many things related to linguistics. So there was a theory of language structure, that what language consists of. I mean, what are ingredients of language? Okay, what is language made up from? Okay, and if we know all these ingredients, it means we have competence in that language. So this was a limited view about competence. Like this school of thought is known as structuralist or linguists. So they thought that language consists only in phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics. Morphology means knowledge about sounds, human speech sounds, okay, of a particular language. So all this is, if one has command over this aspect, so this is one of the chunk of structure of a language, phonology. The sounds put together give us morphemes, and then these morphemes get we can have the morphemes like words. We can have words, and then these words in order. I mean, words are put in chains or in sentences in a particular arrangement. In every language has got its own chain, syntagmatic chain or syntactic chain. So one needs to have knowledge about all these chains, and then we need to move into word meaning, or what these entities or grammatical entities have meaning in real life situations. So this was all about competence. So if one has command over phonology, morphology, syntax, and semantics, he or she knows the language, and he or she can use the language. So this was one view about language structure. Another view about language structure came on the scene after 1970s, okay, in which many people, even Hudson and Austin, J.L. Austin, then Grice and Delhines and many more, they said no, language, as language is used in society, language has some functions to perform in society. Okay, like language is used to direct people, language is used to express thoughts, language is used to express emotions and affection, and language is used to perform speech acts. So if language is much implicated in society, if language is rooted in society, so how can we exclude a study of society from language structure? So if a person does not know the rules of society, rules, cultural or societal rules, so how can we declare him or her to be competent user of a language? So a person who can't differentiate between like where to use tu, tum or aap in Urdu pronunciation, Urdu pronouns. So even if he or she has got command over this system like subject and predicate, like tu मेरा टीचर है, it's a Urdu sentence, okay, it's a syntactical change, it gives us the clue that the person has a good command over subject and verb agreement, okay, because he doesn't say tu मेरा teacher है, he knows that with tu as a subject we must have this verb है, tu मेरा teacher है. But socio-linguistically speaking, this structure cannot be used in every situation. This gentleman or gentle lady must know that it is socio-linguistically inappropriate and inaccurate. So he or she must know that aap mere teacher hai is a very good phrase. So this competence rules of society should also be there. So if one wants to communicate in society, one must have communicative competence. And what is communicative competence? Communicative competence means to have command over two types of competencies. One is linguistic competence, another one is socio-cultural competence. If a person doesn't have both types of competencies, he or she cannot be declared as a language user. So it means in the theory of language structure, we need to integrate the rules of use. So if there are rules of usage, there is rules about syntax and phonology and phonetics and semantics, then there are also rules of society. Both rules of usage and rules of use need to be learned in order to use language in society, because language is not in vacuum, it has to be used in society. So sociolinguistics came on the scene. So now although sociolinguistics is a branch of linguistics, but one view about language is linguistic competence, and another view about language is communicative competence. And communicative competence means to have not only command over all the formal systems, phonology, phonetics, etc. Now, what are implications of this sociolinguistics and language teaching? If a teacher or if a book writer or a syllabus designer, if he or she has got sociolinguistics perspectives, then the book he or she is going to write, it will have some units like airport, at the airport, at the railway station, in a funeral ceremony, attending a marriage ceremony, so that the language learners should be given formulaic phrases or situational phrases, how to use language in society. But if you have only one perspective, that is linguistics perspective, you may have units like types of nouns, how to teach tenses, how to teach direct and indirect narration, etc. Because you just think that all this, if taught to students, they will be able to use language. But no, this is one or lopsided view of the language. So yes, your perspectives does have some connection between sociolinguistics and language teaching. So time is going to be up, because this video is for just 15 minutes. Inshallah, when we move ahead, we will be talking more about sociolinguistics, and particularly how it's really an interesting field, that how language is implicated in society. Stay tuned, wait for the next video, and soon inshallah you will listen to my another lecture. Thank you very much.